Guys are already starting to be cut around the National Football League, and I want to ask you this question. Which Bears roster bubble candidate do you want to make the 53-man roster? Who's someone that could either make it or could not that you are campaigning for? It's an election year. Who do you want to see make this 53? Drop his name in the comments, and let's go ahead and get to a fresh batch of cut candidates. I'm Harrison Graham. Welcome into Chicago Bears Now. I take a look at 5 players on the roster bubble that I think could be on the outside looking in. Also want to mention this news as we're filming this just dropped. Wide receiver Freddie Swaim, who was placed on IR, he actually just got cut, and so did Khalid Kareem, the defensive end. So Bears already making a couple of moves here. But let's take a look at some cut candidates here. Dominique Robinson, who... It's still crazy that his first game ever has been his best game ever. Had a 1.5 sacks against Trent Williams in a downpour 2 years ago, and quite frankly has not done anything since. I thought he did a good job this offseason of putting on weight, getting bigger and stronger, but it's just time to cut Dom Rob. And the reason is because even though there was reports of him having some good practices during training camp, it just hasn't translated to the games. At some point, you got to see him do it on a game situation, and he just hasn't done it. He hasn't done it, and especially when you factor in other guys that have, you bring in Darrell Taylor. I look at this, and I'm like, it feels like the clock has run out on Dom Rob. Guys for sure are going to make this roster at defensive end ahead of him. Montez Sweat, Darrell Taylor. We know Austin Booker's making the team. At best, you could argue he'd be your 4th defensive end, but when healthy, Jacob Martin's better. Daniel Hardy's had a better preseason. I mean, I just don't think there's a spot for him anymore. And I think one of my first thoughts when the Bears traded for Darrell Taylor, we broke down that full trade. Subscribe, check it out. Was, that's not good for Dominique Robinson. That was one of my initial thoughts. So I think he's in trouble. Obviously, there's still a way the Bears could keep him. Maybe they cut Hardy instead. Maybe Martin is a short-term IR stash. But I think Dominique Robinson could be on the chopping block. Now, if you had to pick one to keep, because there could be a situation where Dominique Robinson or Daniel Hardy gets the final spot on this defensive line, who would you pick? Type DR for Dominique Robinson, DH for Daniel Hardy. I would pick Hardy. I feel like he's earned it in camp and in these preseason games. What say you? Let me know in the comments below. Let's go to Brett Rypien next, the veteran quarterback in the QB room. And look, this one's kind of a tough one, but this is just the reality of doing business in the NFL. Some teams keep 3 quarterbacks, some keep 2. I feel like the Bears' roster depth is going to lead to them keeping 2 and having an extra body at a different spot. And that's a shame for Rypien because he played well in the preseason, man. I mean, 24 of 34, 335 through the air, threw for 3 touchdowns and no interceptions. Great QB rating. A lot of that damage was done in the Hall of Fame game, but I thought for the most part he was steady when he did get reps in the preseason. And it's no fault of Rypien's. You're so deep at corner. You got a lot of linebackers. You got to mix and match in the trenches. You might need an extra body at one or both of those spots. I think you keep 2. I think you go Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. You hope Rypien doesn't get claimed off waivers and you get him back on the practice squad. But I think it's one of those two. Like, ask yourself when you make a tough cut, will you be in shambles if he gets picked up? If Rypien gets picked up by another team, my thought will be like, hey, man, good for you. You played well in the preseason. Congrats on earning a 53 spot somewhere. I'd love to keep him around. I'd like to have a vet in the room, but not enough to keep him on the 53, so I'm cutting Brett Rypien. All right, today's show is sponsored by Game Time, and listen, football season is back. This is the time to get off the couch and go attend your favorite sporting events with Game Time. Download the Game Time app today and use promo code CHATSPORTS to get $20 off your first purchase only. Terms apply there. Game Time has a new feature, by the way. It's called Game Time Picks, which makes getting your tickets to see your favorite teams a lot easier. It'll filter out the fluff to show you the best deals on the best seats so you don't have to filter through thousands of tickets available. Whether you're getting tickets for a sporting event, concert, comedy show, or anything else, Game Time has you covered with views from the seats, last-minute tickets for the lowest price guaranteed, super deals, which are going to get you the best bang for your buck, kind of the top 1% ticket options based on quality of seat and price. So download the Game Time app today. Get out of the house and go check out the Cubbies, the Bears, the White Sox, whatever you're feeling. Concert, comedy show, it's all there for you. Get your tickets, code CHATSPORTS. Once you create an account today, it's going to get you $20 off your first purchase only. Again, those terms apply. It's game time. What time is it? It's game time. All right, next up, Colin Johnson, which this one's a little tough for me because I thought his game in the Hall of Fame game was pretty damn impressive. And it was, it's backups. I get the context of all that, but I really liked what he brought to the table, and I like what he brings to the table. I still think he could be a guy that could help you out, both on special teams. This is a quality backup receiver, like as Adunze's top backup, 6'6", 220. You just can't teach that. He's got great body control, but he's been out for 3 weeks. What do you want me to do? At some point, you got to show that you could stay healthy, and this is not a new thing with Colin. He gets hurt and he stays hurt. That's the theme of his NFL career. He's not been able to stay healthy. So, maybe he's a candidate to be an IR stash, but I just look at this wide receiver room, and especially with the returner situation still in flux, I just don't know if there's a spot. I think Dante Pettis is more safe than him at this point. You may have to keep DeAndre Carter as your punt returner. Velus is more of a running back, but if he makes the team, he can obviously be your last wide receiver as well. I would try to use one of those 2 short-term IR spots for him. Remember, this year there's a new rule in place where you can carry 2 extra players in addition to the 53, basically to protect yourself. That way you end up throwing them on short-term IR instead of keeping them initially, then cutting them, or then placing them on IR, then trying to bring back someone you cut that you don't want to expose to waiver. So he could be a candidate for that, but I don't know. I think he either gets cut or he's in this category. I don't think he makes it straight up initially. Noah Sewell. This is an interesting one, right? The 5th-round pick out of Oregon last year who didn't do a ton as a rookie, played some on special teams, has been hurt off and on through his first year and a half with the team as well, especially in this training camp. Didn't play much until the last week. Got to play in the final preseason game, and quite frankly, he just hasn't looked the part. I like the draft pick because he was a good college player who kind of hit a wall his last year at Oregon, so he dipped in the draft. I was like, okay, it's good value. He's played at a really high level. He just hasn't looked great. Had a bad missed tackle in space the other night. He's not great in coverage, and I just think you've seen other linebackers step up. I mean, you have a clear top 3 with Edwards, Edmonds, and Sanborn. Amon O is going to be on this team. Micah Baskerville has proven more, really 2 years in a row than Sewell. I think Baskerville played better last year in training camp in the preseason than Sewell, but you drafted Sewell in the 5th last year. Baskerville's UDFA, so I get why they kept Sewell. But you're 2 years in now. If Baskerville's the better player, he's the better player. So I would keep him over Sewell. I think there's a real scenario where Sewell doesn't make this team. Subscribe and join us for the next several days because roster news and updates are going to continue to drop, and we will continue to keep you guys updated here on this channel with full videos, sometimes some YouTube shorts as well. So subscribe, turn on those notifications. Do not go anywhere as we got you up to speed here on Chicago Bears Now. I'm going to throw Travis Homer on here, and I've got a feeling that the Bears, and I don't even know if it's a feeling, I think it's a fact. I think the Bears like Homer more than I do. He started in the game the other night. He's gotten a good amount of run in the preseason, but he just hasn't stood out. And look, I don't really expect him to stand out as a running back. His role in the NFL is as a special teams ace that if he has to play running back in a pinch, he can do so. But they've given him several reps at running back, both as a runner, as a pass protector, and a pass receiver. We know he's a good pass protector. That's what's kept him in the league in addition to special teams. But had a brutal drop on 4th down the other night in the final preseason game. It wasn't a perfect pass, but one you should catch. He's not that dynamic. And I just kind of look at this with what Velus Jones in short term has been able to do at running back. I'd rather keep that experiment going and I'd rather cut Travis Homer because I feel like you can replace Travis Homer's duties on special teams. Keep an extra corner. You got a shit ton of them. One of those linebackers can help you there as well in that department. Maybe you keep a fourth or fifth safety, depending on how heavy you want to go there. Like, there's no way I'm going to cut Velus over Homer and cut Velus and keep Homer at this point. If both make it, cool. And I'm not even like saying I'm the huge Velus Jones guy now. I'm just saying if it comes down to these two, I saw how explosive Velus can be with the ball. We've said that for 2 years. I just wish he would have switched to running back sooner because he's always seemed more natural at that position in terms of his play style. But now you're seeing some signs. I would keep Velus Jones and I would cut Travis Homer. Some other names to watch: Larry Borom, who got banged up in the last game. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. It's an ankle injury. As we're filming this, we still don't have concrete details, so if that's changed by the time you watch this, maybe we have a clear answer there. Simba Webster got banged up too. Is he an IR stash? Is he more of a practice squad guy? Probably. We'll see. Ian Wheeler, a guy I've liked throughout the preseason. I think it's a numbers game. I think he gets squeezed out, but hopefully you get him back on the practice squad. Greg Stroman Jr., it could come down to a guy like him or Reddy Stewart for the last spot. I think the Bears are going to keep 7 corners, and your top 6 I think are set with your starters, then Terrell Smith, Jalen Jones, and Josh Blackwell. But if they go 7, it's probably either Stroman or Reddy Stewart, so keep an eye on those guys. And then Doug Kramer. Ryan Bates has been out for a couple of weeks now. Kramer has improved. He looks like a stronger player. Could he sneak onto the 53 as a depth center interior guy? We'll see. It would probably come down to if the Bears believe he could play guard in a pinch if needed. If not, he's probably more of a practice squad player. But kudos to Doug Kramer for improving. I've been impressed with what he's been able to do. All right, name a roster bubble player you want cut. We asked you to make the case for somebody. Now, make the case against somebody. Drop that player's name down in the comments below. And be sure to hit that subscribe button because we will continue to keep you guys covered throughout the next several days leading up to Tuesday's roster cut down day. My name is Harrison Graham. Bear down, and we'll see you soon.